Hey everybody, welcome to another episode in a series of videos demonstrating the Dell Apex Cloud platform for Microsoft Azure's consistent hybrid management experience. If you're new to Apex Cloud Platform for Azure, you'll want to check out the links to some binge-worthy content I've included in the video description below. These resources provide introductory information and highlight what's new in our latest release this month. In this video, I want to demo one of the new features we've introduced in our Dell Apex Cloud Platform Foundation Software version 1.01, which is Add Disk for the seamless scaling up of cluster storage. So let's dive right in. Consider a situation where I need to add more capacity and performance to the storage space's direct storage pool of an existing Apex Cloud platform for Azure. In Azure Monitor Insights for Azure Stack HCI, I have an event with the severity level of warning. It looks like the faulting resource is storage pool. I can click on the cluster resource. Then I'll click on the Health tab and then on the fault. The Details pane indicates that the S2D storage pool has exceeded its capacity threshold. Now, I need to drop down into Windows Admin Center to resolve this. Right away, I see the storage pool capacity alert visible in the dashboard. I go to the Drives extension and confirm that I have very little available space in my storage pool after I factor in the recommended reserve space. I want to get this resolved before this starts to limit my ability to safely provision new workloads on the cluster. So it looks like I currently have 24 drives in the cluster. I browse to the Dell Apex Cloud Platform extension, and I see a couple of alerts. I see the same capacity threshold alert, and I assume this means that I'll need to add new disks to my cluster nodes. So let me go over to the Physical View tab and confirm that I have free drive slots to work with, and clearly I'm in great shape. Now I'll go to the Storage tab to add disks. Now, here, these cluster disk symmetry and server disk profile areas of the screen deserve some special attention. Now, Dell and Microsoft Engineering have identified multiple storage spaces direct configuration rules and best practices based on our testing and validation that keep the platform operating at peak performance and resiliency. So for example, the disks must be symmetrical, and I'll click on this handy information icon here to see what that means. The disks must be of the same disk type. The same number of disks should be inserted into each chassis, and all the disks should be using the same disk protocol. All disks also need to align with a valid disk profile across the cluster nodes. In my case, all the disks are the same size and they have an endurance level greater than 5%. The cache ratio doesn't really come into play on my cluster because it's an all-flash configuration. So I'll click on the disks view. Now, first thing you'll notice, there are add and replace buttons here. I'll click on the add button, which launches our automation workflow to scale up storage, but I can also replace old or defective disks here as well. So in step 1, we make sure auto claim is enabled, which will ensure that new disks can automatically be added to the storage pool without any user interaction. In step 2, these clear warnings are provided about adherence to the disk symmetry and disk profile guidelines. I can double check my current disk configuration. Now, in my case, I will add 2 disks into each node of my 4-node cluster for a total of 8 disks. I get some very convenient disk recommendations here that will help me stay aligned with best practices, and I'm even provided with the first open drive slots. I have my on-site technician go and insert the drives into these slots, and then I click on I have inserted the new disks. A verification process kicks off to ensure that the disks I've inserted are compliant with the disk symmetry and profile rules. I can view the details from this verification, which shows that I will have a total of 8 disks in each cluster node after the operation is complete. So I'll click on Finish and give that just a couple of seconds. And that's all there is to this. This page gets refreshed and I see that I now have 32 disks in the cluster. When I go back to the summary page, I see my new amount of available space in the storage pool, and I can see my disk symmetry information updated to reflect the newly added disks. I can also go back to the drives extension and I see that I've now got some breathing room on the available space on the storage pool after taking into account the recommended reserve space. And finally, I can go back to Azure Monitor Insights and see that my cluster has returned to a healthy state. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this short demo. This is another powerful example of how we've created a consistent hybrid management experience with Apex Cloud Platform for Azure using Azure Monitor Insights for Azure Stack HCI and our Apex Cloud Platform Foundation software integrations in Windows Admin Center. Thank you so much for watching.